Welcome to Cackling in the Void.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Kaylee.
Let's see if the void echoes back today.
And we are two best friends diving deeper into the void of our book series that we are going to start. We have decided to do not a deep dive, but a quick little recap of Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I know that this wasn't
the original plan, but that's okay.
Yeah, I was like, wasn't the original plan, but we got
misread some dates. And
yeah,
so
I was gonna say we got some release dates mixed up, and so we're gonna take a break from our Beguiled series and end up doing this series instead, just for a bit. And we're going to not necessarily do a deep dive, but we're going to do one book at a time, just because we know that, number one, this is a crazy long series in terms of
so long,
the length of what we've done on the podcast. And so we did want to go ahead and review most of her books right before her big release of the next ACOTAR book in October.
Yes,
possibly?
October, the end of October.
Yeah, I was like, I'm
the dates person.
Yeah, I was like, sometimes I am not great at the concepts of dates.
Yeah, you forgot October existed.
No, I just thought it was after the other month.
But I do that all the time. I confuse. What do? I do November, October, December. So you swap September and October, and I swap November and October.
Yeah, I just assumed that it was right after, okay? It's okay. Dyslexia happens to the best of us.
Yeah, it's just the full word. It's not just that, it's the full word.
But this is what we're going to go ahead and jump into, and this Throne of Glass, which is
long awaited because
very long.
I've been excited for certain parts of this because I
love that for you.
Are you not excited for certain parts of this?
Not really. I'm not going to lie. Like, when me and Ashley were doing the prep for this, I mean, I feel like it's no secret to a lot of our audience, if they have really listened to us for a long time, that we have big opinions specifically about her series and about I'm going to say it right off the bat. I don't think that these are the best fantasies ever. I don't think so. And I think that the way sorry, I'm going to try not to get super riled up in the beginning. I just think that there are a lot of other romantasy series that are better starter romantasy series that are more inclusive, hit better points, have better plot points, and have overall just better arcing characters. I have an opinion for Throne of Glass because she is already done with it. As you guys know, I try not to form a complete opinion about the feelings that I have for the entire series until it is over.
You know this from, if you've been following us since Fourth Wing, she has not given her opinion on... She gives her opinion on the book itself, but not I can't say I love or hate the series because it's not completed.
Because
and
it's
I
not
do
complete.
The same thing. I'm like, no. When I mean, even if I'm watching some of my favorite shows, I remember I'll be watching it and someone's like, oh, are you enjoying it? I'm like, I'm enjoying it. They're like, oh, what do you think of the series? I'm like, I don't know yet. What if the finale is awful? That has happened way too many times.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like what if you really like it? It's very unfortunate, but I feel like we all know when ACOTAR came out, I just have to throw it out there. Some ladies did not wait until the next book and just got Tamlin tattoos, and we were like, you fantastic.
And I do love how
that for the plot.
I do love how the book community that's read the series and stuff like that was everybody needs to shut up when the show comes out and let it happen again. It's a canon event. It's a canon event again.
And we all have to let it happen because that's it. But now going into Throne of Glass, we meet Selena Sardothian, which is our main female protagonist of this book, and we're going to see her and watch her story unfold. In this book, we have a couple other really key players that are mentioned throughout the series. So we get Dorian, who is the crown prince of the land
Yes. Yes. Crown Prince of Leia. We have Kael, who is
who is the captain of the
Westfall,
guard.
who is the captain of the guard. And then we also get to meet Princess Nehemia, who is princess of
Eelway.
Thank you, Eelway.
And the only land that I remember.
I know. I was like, I'm so sorry,
guys. I was really.
So we, and I do love. There are parts of this series that I do like. I really love how, Selena and Dorian's friendship is throughout the series, and I love how it starts. I actually really do enjoy how it starts, and I love how it's like a like flirtatious, and like they do kiss and they do do things, and like they do have these moments, but then it's no, I think actually we're better off as friends, and like I don't want this, but I want you in my life still. And I really think that it's nice to see that representation of like, hey, like you can have something with somebody and then go, no, like we're just better off as friends, and you see their friendship really do grow throughout the series. I also did want to say we are reading this the romantic way, so we're gonna put Assassin's Blade after Heir of Fire. That is how we originally read the series. Thought it would be easiest to do it that way because that's how we read it.
Also, we are most likely doing it in the romantic format. We did decide to do the romantic format as well as the tandem read.
We did. When we originally read it, we did the tandem read, which was a journey. And we do listen to audiobooks. So we had to keep pausing, and it wasn't like but which I feel like that's easier in a way because you don't have to carry around 2 books. But they were pausing, then changing the book.
Yes,
and going back and
making sure that you were on the correct chapter. Was a bit of a hassle, but I am not gonna lie.
I'm glad we did the tandem read.
If you guys read this series, do the tandem read. I promise you it'll be better for your sanity. That's all I gotta say about it. I know, I'm trying not to
but we're not there yet. We're in the first book.
We're not there yet. So we're in the first book. We have key players that are introduced. Things that just a couple background things. Selena right now is 18 years old. She's actually 19 because she was captured at 17 and placed in prison. And
she was in a mine. She was in the mines, as a prisoner.
The prison mind camp. And so we see Dorian and Kael talk to Selena for the first time. And it is in terms of it is
Endovier.
Oh, Endovier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're the salt mines. That's what we were trying to
right.
think.
It is. It's a salt mine specifically. So she was locked up in Endovier, and then Kael and Dorian come and say, hey, we have a proposition for you. We understand that you are, the best assassin in the land. And we want you to join in this King's tournament and be our champion, which in and of itself is a very interesting concept to think of. But then also not only that it's how interesting that the tournament is set up in such a way that everybody gets to pick who they think the King's champion should be. And then they all compete in this battle royale type of game
different competitions. And so they have to be able to detect poison, they have to be able to climb these walls, they have to be able to do these things and these trials,
archery
basically.
And different types of feats almost. And she agrees because
she does, and he offers her why not? She gets out of the mines. He offers her, hey, you have to if you win this championship, you have 4 years that you have to work, and then you're freedom, you're free. You're free. You have your freedom. You could do whatever you want. Go free. And we also do learn how we
almost
see
life-changing for her.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I also would not want to be locked up in salt mines. And we also Kael keeps asking her, she's why did you ever not try to escape? What is happening? And she's like, well, you can't. They literally will kill you if you try to escape.
Yes.
And we also do learn he is so I do love how I've heard some people talk about it, black and white in his morality. And so
Yeah.
he immediately is like, oh, you've killed people, you're an assassin, you're immediately bad. And so he gets through, like, as Dorian and her keep getting closer and closer, because she finds like a library, and she's like, oh my gosh, these books, I need to read all of them. And Kael's like, oh, well, that's just for the royal family. And so she's like, okay, and like writes a letter to Dorian and being like, hello, those books are sitting untouched and they need their love. And like, starting like their banter, which once again, I do love their banter. And like these
and
books
Dorian and her
untouched.
basically start like a book club
They
together.
do. Yeah. And I'm like, that's so valid. And so like, he's like, my only rule is that you have to read like these 4 books first. I think they're very good and I think you would enjoy them. And so like you said, they start a book club together, and we see Kael getting really, really like upset about it.
Jealous.
And he's like jealous and upset. And he's like, well, you're an assassin. Like, you can't be talking to him. And like very much bringing up the fact that she's an assassin and she's killed people. And like, he just can't get that out of his head. And also,
it's also
like
interesting.
Captain of the Guard, and he's never killed somebody.
Exactly. I was like, it's also really interesting to state that he is Captain of the Guard and he's never seen battle or killed anybody before. And so it's like, we can definitely tell that he gained his, position through nepotism almost. And, the idea of him being really the,
best friend of the
crown prince's best friend, and like the perks that come with that. And not only that, is we also see when, Selena and Dorian really start to become friends and have like this book club. It's the Kael is having the juxtaposition of like the morality almost of it, of you can't be associating with her because she's like almost like unclean, that like she's like dirty and like she's like not he's not in the same class as you, so you shouldn't be talking or fraternizing with her or anything like that. And we also see throughout this book that Dorian is very much of eligible age, that they really want Dorian to get married. We also have another side character, her name is Kaltane, that does play a very critical role in this book, and she is, for lack of better terms, what I think of her as like one of Cinderella's like ugly, nasty stepsisters.
That's a great way to describe her.
That's who and the personality that I can see Kaltane as. Another like notable thing to mention is Kaltane has a large opioid addiction.
Yes, she does.
A huge opioid addiction, and is willing to do almost anything for this. And I think that that is something that is a key part of her character and how, things go. But we see the plan for the competition, because Dorian and Kael are scared that people will recognize her. So Selena is now Lady Lillian. To masquerade as kind of this jewel thief so that she can enter in the contest and not be as scrutinized. And they openly say, hey, you need to win. We are middle of the pack people. Okay. You can't be too bad that you get kicked out, but you can't be too good that you're a standout. Which is a big issue for Selena, because she has a large ego. Gotta call it like it is. Lady got a big ego, where her pride gets hurt very, very quickly and very, very easily. We even see it in the first competition when they shoot the arrows, how she is incapable of ignoring.
So there's like banter, like the other competition. She's shooting like right outside, but not hitting the actual target. And they're like, "Oh, look, she can't do it." Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and then she's like, "Fine," and then like shoots the arrow into the center.
And obviously she gets a little talking to from Kael, and you're like, "Hey, I thought we said we were gonna do middle of the road," and you seem like you're trying to step out of line, and she's like, "Leave me alone. I got this." And now I'm gonna go to sleep and have weird dreams about this dead queen.
Yeah. And she also finds tunnels in her room behind a portrait.
Yes. So that is all like, does she find the tunnels? I thought she found the tunnels after the dream. Because I thought,
did she?
I thought she had the dream, and then Queen Lillian like was like, look behind the wall. Ooh. And she's like,
maybe
wakes up and is like,
happened.
oh my God, maybe I should check behind the wall. And then she goes and she checks behind the wall, and then there's this handle that's like, yo, if you want to get,
I forgot about the talking handle.
If you wanna get past me, you're gonna have to answer this riddle, you know. And she's like, oh no, Mr. Handle, please open up. And he's like, I'm gonna sing for you and give you cryptic riddles. And then she's just like, okay, whatever. And then just kind of like, you know, she actually like uses her hand and opens the door, which he's very upset about because he's like, you're suffocating me. This is crazy.
I forgot about the door handle. Oh my gosh.
She has like a whole conversation with the door handle in the middle of this thing, which I thought was relevant to mention because
he does come back.
He does. That is true. And so she goes and she, you know, finds the like underground tomb tunnel
thing
area. So we're in the royal underground chamber tunnel fortress cell thing underneath her room, and we are seeing her interact with Lillian's spirit, and Lillian is telling her kind of, you know, just like little things about history and about how like certain things came about, and like giving her like small advice. And she has like the first dream and she meets with Lillian for the first time, and then she goes up and then she goes back to sleep before like the next competition. But when she wakes up the next morning, we find out that one of her one of the competitors that she was competing against has been brutally murdered, and a bunch of ancient writing, which we later find out as word marks, are surrounding the body and things like that. And so they're a little concerned, but obviously not too concerned for the competition to go on. And so the competition
literally just like, oh, this happened, and then they kind of like, you know,
they kind of just like brush it off.
Makes sense for like
it, but does it? Because it's so interesting that these are highly trained people that are supposedly really deadly in their field and are like really accomplished thieves, assassins, you know, bounty hunters, soldiers, and they aren't concerned that a murder just took place in the castle grounds. Specifically.
I'm guessing if you've read the book, I'm going to spoil the end of this book.
That we just brush over due to plot armor, I feel.
That's fair. That's true. I was just saying that in the book, I mean, like, I'm going to spoil the end of the book. We know that it's one of the competition that the king is telling him to do so. And so, like, I feel like it's brushed off by the king. Yeah. So that would make it kind of brushed off by the kingdom. But I do think it should have had a little bit more murmurs and more like, what the hell? What the fuck?
Yes.
You know, but like, it makes sense in the sense of like the king brushes it off because he's like, no, it's fine. We just have to keep going because he's a part of it.
Yeah. So the king is very much, no, it's okay, it's fine. And even Dorian is starting to now see this odd change within his father that has recently happened, to where he is not as receptive of Dorian's interactions, I guess, and not as receptive to, I guess, his opinions of the kingdom. And Dorian is feeling small and rejected due to that. And we see him like interact with his mother a little bit more, and his mother is like, oh, like, don't forget, like, you need to get married, that way, you know, your younger brother isn't put on the throne.
And also at this time we're also seeing a friendship between Selena and Princess Nehemia, and Nehemia like doesn't speak the common tongue, and so she speaks Ilwe, and so Selena also knows it, and so she, it's like they're the only two that are talking, together. And so then Selena starts tutoring her in the common tongue.
And Kale is very against this because Kale is like, number one, the fact that Selena can speak Eoway is concerning. Is she a spy? Is she, once again, like the motives, he's questioning her motives every which way, every single time that he gets the chance to. Regardless of how many times Selena tells him, I promise I won't. I promise I won't. This is the only way I can see out of not only the salt mines, but the previous life that I had as an assassin. So she's like she's also viewing this competition as a way for her to break out of being, number one, being an assassin, but also to be free from the Assassin's Guild. Yes. Because once you work for like a guild. Like I guess people in power, you're like shunned.
Kind of stuck. Yeah.
You're kicked out or something. She explains it a little bit obviously better than I can. But it is kind of that idea of she'll get kicked out and like her assassin license like won't be renewed with the association. Basically.
And we also I do like how like Kale like grabs her hand and like there's a scar on her hand. And he's like, hey, like, where'd you get that scar? She's like, oh, well, no, it was when they were training, wasn't it? They were training. And then he sees the scar and he's like, hey, like, because they were doing, like, she was with her left hand and her right hand. And then he's like, how, like, what did you do to your hand? And she was like, oh, well, like, Erewhon was like, oh, you're too good with your right hand and not good with your left hand, break your hand. Yeah. And so she, like, slammed her hand in the door.
Because it was the break your hand or I'm going to cut it off. So you choose.
And so she had to just use her left hand for a long time. And so then I feel like that moment is like when Chaos like, oh, this wasn't a choice you made. And I'm like,
yes, very much took you a while, like, this wasn't a choice. I also, it's really interesting
every
that
time I read his name, because I mainly listened to the audiobooks in the very beginning. I was reading it just a tiny bit because I was on the plane and I was like trying to stay awake. And every time I saw his name, I was like, Charcoal? I'm like,
Charcoal?
So every single time I hear his name, I'm like, Charcoal?
No. His name is not Charcoal. It's also interesting to me because we're seeing here where a lot of people like to say that Chaol has redeeming qualities in terms of his trust issues. And I don't
We can get into it after we finish our summary.
But anyway, they yes, his view is like changed on towards her a little bit. Like he kind of like understands like, oh, maybe she didn't choose this life. Like, what is this life? Like things like that. And then also is seeing the relationship between her and Nehemia as this actual like blossoming friendship and not as like you're plotting against my kingdom. Which is very refreshing for the two ladies to be able to do that and have that type of relationship. And meanwhile, Selena and Dorian have been maintaining a very flirty relationship throughout the entire time. And we see that, Dorian is also, kind of like trying to flirt with Nehemia as well because Nehemia is gorgeous. Like,
and he's also known as kind of like
very gorgeous,
very flirty with everybody.
Yes, he's objectively just a flirt, and that is okay. Supposedly he is a player and is like a ladies' man, but I don't know if he is. I think he's just a flirt, but that is kind of one of those things because even though if he was a ladies' man in the past, he's definitely not one now, and you can tell like his actions like going through the other books. But you find out that Dorian has like this weird not like this weird thing, but he has like a little passion project. He breeds dogs.
Yeah.
And
And so Selena
the
finds this
dogs,
out and like gets to play
yeah.
with all the puppies.
Yeah. And so Selena and Nehemia go play with the puppies, and there's this puppy that that Dorian gives to her, and she very lovingly names Fleetfoot. Ashley knows that I have big opinions about this dog
Yes,
throughout
and he does
the
make it through the series, so no worries about that.
Yes. The dog does make it through the series. That's not what I have issue with. But you know, she acquires this puppy that actually gives her a lot of comfort. And
Yep.
you know, we have to understand that this is Selena's first time sleeping in the most comfortable of beds.
Yeah.
To the point where like she was like, "Oh, for a while like the bed was so overly comfortable, I couldn't sleep, so I ended up just sleeping on the floor because I'm not used to like sleeping in, you know, luxury or cushion or things like
Which
that."
is a really wild kind of like thing to look at, because it is like you get so used to something like being on a soft bed would probably hurt your back.
Yes.
You know, because like if you're so used to laying like flat on the floor is very hard, and you know your body kind of like gets used to that, and so like changing things like that can really just like it can really hurt your back and hurt your hips. It can be uncomfortable.
It is, and you see her like when she gets this dog, you see her sleep on the bed now because the dog wants to sleep on the bed. You see, you know, that this dog is very attached and follows her around and things like that. And you know, as like these days are going on, and she's not only, you know, interacting with Nehemia and Kaol and Dorian during these times, the competition is still going on, and we don't get to see all of the competition days. We get to see some of them. We don't get to see all of them, but you know, something that is nice about the competition is that obviously it's spanning through a couple of months, and we learn that, you know, the kingdom that they're in is a almost magicless kingdom. But
they learned that it kind of like had been there before.
Yes, that magic used to be there, but when Dorian's like father came into power, and the Great War happened, magic almost fled from the land.
Yeah.
Which is a very interesting way to put that, because it's can magic flee from a land? In terms of, you know, when we think about like fantasies, like magic is in everything. Magic is in the trees. Magic is in the air. Magic is something almost palpable that you can feel. And so it's interesting. It's such an interesting concept to have the idea of, oh, it can flee from a land.
Yeah. I do like how, like that word to describe it.
Yeah. And so we find out that it is a magicless land, and it has been for centuries or a decade or, you know, however much. And that we, you know, find out from Nehemia that these word marks are used to connect with ancient powers and magic. And so that is something that we find out that is not only interesting in terms of history of the land, but also in terms of the murders that are happening, because we're finding more and more word marks. And Selena is finding them not only at murder sites, but around the gardens, around the castle, carved into walls, behind the portraits where she went to the tunnels, in the chamber where she meets Lillian, things like that. And she's noticing where all of these things are.
It's kind of like when you get a new car and then you notice the same car everywhere. Like that type of feeling. I feel like it's kind of how that was described.
And we're getting into the competition, and a notable thing is one of the competitions she ends up almost finishing last, which they're really upset about, but she does end up saving a fellow competitor. And it's interesting when you see this happen and she ends up saving him, like what is going through her mind, because she says that it was almost like instinctive. She just like felt something, you know, kind of like on her peripheral, like go down, and she just snagged him because she also thought that it was unfair that you could tell that his rope was cut from the top of
So there's definitely cheating going on in these competitions,
yes.
and it's
yes, very much so.
Play fair.
And also notable to mint that the competitor that she did save is a poison master, which does come up later on in the book as well.
Yeah. And, they're making their way through these competitions. They're making their way through, like finding out these word marks and stuff. And then, we do end up finding out that Nehemia was lying and does know the common tongue because she overheard her talking, and, that kind of sent Selena into
she found her reading
the common tongue.
She found her reading books in the common tongue, and she was like, I thought you didn't know how to read or write or speak the common tongue. And Nehemia openly said that, I was lying because I wanted to be able to spend more time with you, number one. And number two, the less time that I have to interface with these people that are cruelly and viciously oppressing my people, the better I will feel. As well as it's one of these things where, you see that change in Nehemia's, like almost that outlook change, that you have more of an understanding of how calculated Nehemia actually is, because even though Nehemia is royalty, Dorian's father has occupied that land and has mostly just let Nehemia's family rule in terms of being a figurehead and of looks.
Yeah, she's like, hey, like they're stealing my land. Like I need to be able to like have my land back and like rule my people, not under someone else's thumb.
Exactly. And so that is her goal, and that is like why she even came to the the castle, the glass castle, in and of itself, to find, if there is a common ground almost. And when
it does break Selena's trust, though, she's like has a really hard time kind of like, oh, like she lied to me, and like this is really hard because it's like, what if she is a spy? People are telling me she's a spy, and now she lied to me, like what? But she doesn't. I don't think she's a spy, but what if she is? And kind of like really playing with that emotion and that
it's
feeling.
The idea of, Nehemia taught me about these word marks. Is she the spy that is murdering people at these competitions? Like, am I going to be next because we are so close and I'm like getting closer to the truth? And so she's very concerned about that, and she, ends up like having a unfitful sleep where, even Lillian kind of shows up in her dream and is like, hey, I just wanted to help you out for the competition tomorrow. Make sure you look to your other side just in case. And she's like, okay, that seems weird. Like,
I mean, that is kind of an odd interaction.
I guess so. Like, I can look to the right, like chill. No other context besides just look to the right during the competition. And we find out that it is a poison competition. So you're going to have 6 different poisons. And the first one in the row is the deadliest.
Yep.
Yeah, is like the deadliest. And you can do the last one. The one that you think is the least poisonous.
Yes, you have to drink the one that you think is the least poisonous. And so, a couple people do end up passing away because they did not, guess right.
They got it wrong. And she's like, oh, I've had poison training before, but there's always this one that I always get like mixed up. And she does look to her right, and the poison master that she saved from falling off the wall, she like looks over and just kind of like checks her work. Basically, he doesn't tell her or like give her a clue or point to anything. She just is like, oh, I know he's going to make it out because I know his specialty. And so she, very confidently picks that and does make it out and was correct. And then it's really interesting because during this we see, like Ashley said, people pass away, but then we also see the cheers and the gas from the like spectators almost. And we're like going, also the castle is much more full because we're almost in like their winter solstice era where we do see like what coming next is like their really big party that they end up having before the competition is over.
Yeah, and then, you know, when, like, they're getting ready for the party, like, Kale's like, "No, you can't go there, like, that's not a place for you. That's not a place for you,
This
like,
man.
you're an assassin, you can't be there." And she goes, "Okay," and, like, goes anyway, and, like, it's a
Yeah.
masquerade ball, so she can hide her identity, and so she goes, and immediately Dorian is like, "Can I dance with you?" And so they dance, and she can tell
Yeah.
that Kale's really upset about it.
Yeah, because,
And
like, obviously the mask is not that great, you
yeah,
know?
like, a masquerade just hides, for the most part,
Yeah.
your eyeballs. You have the
Yeah,
rest of your body, like
it's really not that you know, it's, like, not that covering, it's not that, like it's very much that idea of, like, I drew a mustache on my face and you can't tell who I am.
yes, very much so. And
So
so, you
it's
know, but Gale gets really upset, he's like, "Ugh, like, you're an assassin, you can't be doing this, like, you can't
mhm,
be, like, interacting with him like this," which he's clearly just really jealous of Kale or
yes.
Dorian because he wants to be the one
Yeah.
dancing with her,
Mhm.
and, you know,
Cause,
so it's
cause
kind of
also, like, not only that is Kale is like, "Oh, she's taught me so much about morality, about how you can
mhm,
be a good person, but have done bad things, and how you can still be a good person and be a murderer, almost."
yeah,
And it's that idea of, two
not
things can
everything's
be
black and white.
true. Yeah, not everything is black and white.
Yep,
There's that people that live in that gray area and people that are forced to live in that gray area. And he still struggles with that himself because he is a very black and white minded
mhm,
person. Um, and we see this through his thought process throughout the entire book, which is and his entire character.
yes.
It's
His
just
character
black
arc
and
is
white.
very much kind of working through
Does
that
he have
black and
one?
white. It's a great question.
The
But we're not there yet. We have to finish a couple books before we could say that. But
You're right. We're almost done with the synopsis and then we'll really talk about what we
yes,
and how we feel
yes.
about it.
Because now we're getting into the final
Um
challenge,
yeah. So
and
he's upset about
what's
the winter
the
solstice and
but what's
one of
the name
what
of the fiance that's
Kane.
not the actual fiance?
What? Who?
The Caltaine.
Okay.
Um,
I was like, what? Who are we talking about now?
Caltaine.
Um
How Caltaine
yeah.
is like, oh, and like talking with people. I kind of forget who she's talking to, but she's talking with people and she's like,
Yeah.
we
Mhm.
need to poison her. So they end up, she does,
Yeah.
she,
So
at
she's
the,
actually talking to Duke, I want to call him Harrelton.
and so now we're at the final competition and, you know, she's like,
Mhm.
you know what? Like, I've been doing good. I'll take a sip of the wine, which is where they did put the poison.
Yes,
And
because Keltane was talking to the Duke of Whistle certain Ficinals. Don't know the name, and that was the name that I came up with. So very inaccurate. So sorry, guys. But he is basically like been like whispering in like in the king's ear. I kind of picture him as like Jafar,
yeah,
like very very like, no king, do what I say, like I
yeah,
that's what I mean by when I picture Jafar. Very much like
yeah.
similar to that, like that's like the snake in the grass type of character. And he actually floats the idea because he's like, oh, if this woman wins, I heard that Dorian wants to marry her over you. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's crazy. That can't happen. I deserve to be in a life of royalty. He's
Yep.
mine. We've known each other since we were kids. And like, we kind of just all assumed that we would be getting together anyway. And now he wants to backtrack, and I'm not okay with that.
Yep.
And she's like, you know what? You're right. Let's go ahead and poison her, because if she dies, then he can't marry her.
Yeah.
And so she does end up not drinking the wine because she ends up fighting what's his face first.
Knox or something.
Yeah.
Is it Kane? It's Kane.
Yeah, ends up fighting Kane first and wins the battle.
Yep.
And then is like then drinks the wine because she won.
She won.
And then she
ends up
instantly
seeing, like,
feels it.
yeah, and then she ends up like seeing all these like
Yes.
spirits and things. Like she gets to like
But you also see Knox like break something and like inhale something.
yes.
Like something happens where he is taking some sort of medicine or a poison, and like he just like changes, and she openly describes the change as very animalistic, as almost he wasn't there, as if somebody else like was controlling his body, and he turns and like kind of goes at her to the point where they really think that they're going to like he's going to murder her, and Kale ends up stepping in actually and killing him for
and like
Selena.
Kale has an identity crisis about this, like, oh my gosh, like I've murdered somebody, what does that make me? Am I still a good person? And like it's a big thing for him. And Selena's like, holy fuck, what was this, like poison? Like what did I see? What is going on?
Yeah, and then not only that is like all of like Kale's having an existential crisis. Selena is recovering from poison, and Dorian is sitting over here saying, you know what? I think this would be a really good time to confess my feelings for her. And like pulls her aside and is like, I'm in love with you. Let's be together. And she's like, no.
Because they have kissed at this point. They kissed like the night before.
Yeah. They have kissed, and she's like, it was fun and it could be fun, but the answer is no. We live like very different lives. We can't be together, and I'm not into you like that kind of.
But I still want to be your friend. And I want you in my life. But I still want to
be, your friend, and I want you in my life. And he gets very distraught. Yeah, I mean, he takes it better than a lot of people thought he would have.
He does. Because he's like, I get it. Like, like he's still sad about it. It's also understandable for someone to be sad about that. But he does say, okay, like that's what you want.
Yeah. And then, she, after rejecting Dorian, goes and finds Kale to comfort him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because like, I will something to mention that we kind of just like glossed over, like the romance portion of the book, of that she is kind of entertaining
both
this like type of love triangle, because she's like, oh, I'm kind of like, maybe I like Kale, maybe I like Dorian, like I like them for different reasons, and like Kale gets me because he was poor before, and Dorian gets me because he reads books, very like, she's like, I don't know who I like more or who I should choose, and things like that, or if I'm even going to choose any of them. And so like that's very much a thing. And now that Kale has killed for her, obviously she's leaning a little bit more towards like that.
And then she goes and like the next day she has to sign the contract saying she's working for the king for the next 4 years. Yeah. And then Dorian does pull her aside. It's like, oh, like what's your first, like, do you want to know what your first mission is? Do you want to know what like what's going on? And she goes, tell me tomorrow.
Later. Yeah, tell me tomorrow. Like let's just enjoy this time. Yeah.
And I do kind of like how it where the book ends. Just tell me tomorrow, please. No.
Yeah. Where it's like hold on, we can't start yet. Like I just need a little bit of a break, Yeah.
So that is where the book ends.
Yeah, and so
this series starts off very slow, and I remember during our read, it's like it's a very slow book, and it's a very it picks up more towards book 4, and so it takes a second to get there, and so like. Yeah, it makes it hard to get into the series when it starts I will somewhat admit, slow. Like
obviously in our synopsises, like we're going to take a lot of like certain things that Sarah J. Maas loves to focus on. Just training. Like let everybody know the training montage in this book alone was like, I want to say like probably like about 25 chapters. Of this 45 chapter book.
It's 45 chapters?
I don't know, but the training montage was so long. And I hated it. I hated every second of it, but that's just a me thing because everybody knows I really don't love I was like, I just don't love training montages. I think that they're not super necessary. But I also think that like this book did set up
55 chapters actually.
Okay, yeah, there's 55 chapters and over like 25% of it was still training. Like,
and that's why I do want to like mention, like, I've never been a huge fan of like love triangles and just kind of like having to like pick and choose. Like it could be, and if it's done right, it can be good. But it has to be done in a very specific way. And I'm going to bring your attention to Beguiled because it was done very well in Beguiled. We just covered that. If you are new and just coming for the Throne of Glass, Beguiled is really great. It does a great love triangle between two brothers. And she has to kind of like, but it's how it's done is not, it's more of a I love one of them, but I'm like, I have to be with the other. And like
Yes.
really dealing with those emotions and like, what do I do? Because I can say no, but I can't say no. But I want him, but I have to say no. And so it's a very interesting dynamic there. Whereas this one, it's very much I kind of like him. I kind of like him. I kind of and then kind of bouncing back and forth, which is where I get more frustrated. Where I'm like, bro.
Yeah, where it's like you can tell like she's just undecided of which one that she like likes more.
Yeah.
And it's also with this love triangle is we get a lot more snide interactions between the males that are very much like this, like almost like
who are supposed best friends, which I
masculinity, like I'm gonna let this girl literally tear our friendship apart, because for a second they stopped talking in the book because of like Dorian like giving her the books. Like there's like a good like 2 weeks where KL doesn't talk to him.
And I think that's where the dynamic is very different, because I feel like
upset.
Yeah, and I feel like that's where the dynamic is very different when it's two brothers. Because that's kind of that dynamic with a brother is a lot more common than with like a best friend.
Yeah, and like I guess like that's the thing is it's like I understand that, you know, KL is you know, technically your underling and technically is like has a job and is working, and you are not working, but also at the same time we come to the idea of what it just seems so interesting, because we've also seen other dynamics within books of male friendships being incredibly powerful and incredibly strong, and we even see it later on in this book, even how much stronger certain male friendships are, and we see like how fragile their friendship is from this first book. From the beginning of this first book, we see how fragile Dorian and Kael's friendship is, and I know that some people will try to dispute that, but I have many points about why I don't even think they're best friends.
Yeah.
And I think that their friendship is a friendship of convenience over actual compatibility and partnership.
Yes. And I know we're going to cover it more in later books. Kael is not my favorite.
No.
And
I have big feelings.
Big feelings. He is neither of our favorites. We will discuss that later in later books more so. But it is just that fighting for that, like, not just that black and white view and like adding in the gray tones in. And it's I am a sucker for like long character arcs, because that's how people are, and people are going to slide back, and that's how like that is how this type of stuff works. But there's a point where it reaches too long, and there is a point where you have like the same trials over and over and over, and they're just not getting it, and you're like, hey, this is how this works in real life. Yes, you can have like 5 things thrown at you and you just don't get it, like the 6th thing is, but media does have to do it a little bit differently.
Yes, very much so.
So, I'm throwing that out there.
Yeah.
Also, I do love, because we're doing... Oh, I'm so sorry I cut you off.
No, you go for it.
Okay. That we are doing the spoiler free. There might be little tidbits that if you've read the series, you'll understand what we're saying. But I really do like Selena, and I like her as a character.
I particularly enjoyed Selena at the beginning of the series because I think she seemed somehow, number one, more relatable and more human and more willing to acknowledge and accept that she is capable of making mistakes. Yeah. We do see like that juxtaposition of where we see how Selena is an incredibly insecure person. Yeah. Selena is one of the most insecure female protagonists. And I think like that is another reason why Sarah J. Maas's female protagonist might bother me. Is because I find that a lot of her female protagonists are incredibly insecure.
Which is,
and I don't
say,
think
like,
that there's
okay for
anything wrong with that.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. But when it is your entire personality and you cannot evolve past that, I think that's when it becomes unacceptable or annoying. And I do feel like that is like one of those things where it's like we do see that
and I know that you and I have
insecurity
mentioned, like,
eat
talked,
her alive almost.
Yeah, and I know that you and I have talked personally about how we I mean, obviously, like, we love and support our friends. We will always love and support our friends. Yeah. But there's sometimes, like, reaches a point where it's like, hey, you can do something to help this, and you're not.
Yeah.
And, like, it's like, hey, I mean, you can rant and ramble and do all of the things, and I will be here. And I don't care if we've talked about it 500 times. We have talked about it 500 times, and we still talk about it because that's who we are. But I feel like there's just, like, this very difference of, it's like we've talked about this, you did something about it, but now let's just talk about it again because it's kind of for shits and giggles, versus,
exactly,
hey, this is bothering me, this is bothering me, this is bothering me, this is bothering me. And you're like, well, here's a solution, here's a solution, here's a solution, that are all pretty viable solutions. And there's like, no, I can't. It's fine. I just have to live through it. No, it's fine. Like, it's fine. And I'm like, hey, like, we're giving you solutions. We're giving you like, you have options. You've thought of options, and you're just saying no and not working on it or working on yourself. And that's where it kind of gets a little more like, hey, stop.
Yes, very much so.
You know, and so I know that, like I said, like, you and I have talked about that, and I feel like that kind of starts happening in this book, and that's where I kind of like, okay, guys, I get it, but also here are some solutions. People are giving you solutions.
Yeah, and I just feel like, especially like through this book, like, I understand that she's navigating this new world that she's been introduced in, because she, you know, like, this world of luxury, this world of convenience, this world of people looking you in the eye and knowing who you are, and you being able to exist comfortably and moderately safely. And that is something that, like, you get to see her struggle with, which I think is a very good struggle to watch her do, as well as, like, you know, we see her struggle with her interpersonal relationships because of the way that she was raised. And I understand that is partially where, like, certain big insecurities that she has happens. But I also just think that there are certain things that we even see in, like, this beginning book that are already, like, laying down certain foundational levels that we're going to see how her character progresses. You know, we're going to see her progress in her communication skills. We're going to see her, you know, progress in her interpersonal skills. We're going to see how she progresses romantically, and to see, you know, does she end up with Kale? Does she end up with Dorian? You know?
And I will say, I do think, but I really do, I think where I get also kind of frustrated is, like, at least, like, the concept in this is very, like, I like the concept of, like, there being an assassin that was stuck in, like, you know, salt mines and having to be forced to work, and now coming up and being like, hey, I can't, but then also, like,
wanting out,
like, not wanting to be an assassin anymore, which I feel like is something that we see, but not to the degree of this. So it's like, no, and, like, her kind of being forced into the assassin life versus choosing it.
Yes.
Like, I think it's a very interesting dynamic that makes me frustrated.
But, like, here's the thing is, like, there are great concepts of throughout this book. Like, I really like the idea of magic, you know, not existing there anymore, or the idea of ancient word marks, or
the word fleeting, like, it fled. And I
like,
really
it
do
fled
love
the
that word.
land.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting, like, you know, turn of phrase, because, you know, when we talk about that, we've seen it where it's like magic was leached away, or it was sucked out, or it was, like, you know, displaced in terms of people, like, stripped it from the land. And now it's like the idea of, like, it fled.
Yeah.
So it's, like, currently not living there because it's scared of something, or, you know, not even if it's scared, if it just doesn't think that it's, like, a viable place. So it's very interesting to, like, see how that you know, concept goes. And, you know, I did, like, enjoy what would you give this book out of 10?
You're about to say something you enjoyed.
No, not really.
I feel like I'm about to make a very terrible comparison.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of the playground in the sense that the structure and like the bones are there.
Mm.
But the meat, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we like the concept.
Yeah. Ashley has been bringing up the playground in our
why.
daily lives for like 2.5 weeks. She's been
I
really
don't know what's
obsessed
wrong
with it
me.
again.
I
think she's gonna reread it just for her own
absolutely
personal
not. I don't want to reread that
usage.
book.
No, I mean I understand what you mean by that. Yes and no, but in terms of like where you would rank it, like number wise, what do you think?
About a 3.
This is better than me. Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
What do you
if I'm going to be generous, a 2. If I'm going to be really generous. Also this goes into the tone of I actually really hate opener books.
Yes, opener, but this is very much showing like
we've read this series and we've read ACOTAR, and each book of the first book I come back to Ashley and I'm like I hated the book. I hated it.
And it's like opener books are also really hard to do. Like having a really good opener book is really hard to pull off.
Having a solid first book is really hard.
It's
you
hard
have
to
impress
all of
me
these
first
things.
out of the gate. I'm gonna be so for real about
and that's why it's like I know that like the opener books is you have to set up so much for the future that it's kind of much thrown at you and you're just like hold on. Like I know that one of the first book series that we read together was the Lunar Chronicles.
Yeah.
And I remember kind of struggling a little bit through that first book. Just like there's so much being thrown at you and there's so much like everything.
I liked the first book.
I did like the first book of that one. But
I was like actually the first book was one of the better books out of the series.
Yeah. But back to Throne of Glass. There is so much, and it's like trying to find, especially in a first book, you don't know. I mean, you know where ideally, you know where the series is going to go, and you know where everything is going to go, and things like that. Yeah. But finding the pacing, I think, is where that first book really, really, really struggles. Just because, okay, wait, you might have the events, and you know where, like, hey, this is where this is going to start, this is where the series is going to end, this is what I want to happen in it. But kind of figuring out, okay, I want it to happen in this book, oh, that didn't really work, let's shove it a little bit. Like, I feel like finding the pacing, especially in a first book, is insanely hard. Yeah. And, like, because it's when it's just a one book, like a singular
like
book,
a one-off.
A one-off, like a one-shot or whatever. It's
if it's just a novel,
easier because you don't have to worry about books that are going to happen later and like books that are going to be, and so it's just a lot easier for that sense.
And there is quite a bit of foreshadowing in this first book that because we're not doing spoilers, we're not going to get into any of that foreshadowing or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, and Sam is mentioned in this book.
That is correct. And that is like one of the reasons why she doesn't want to get together with Dorian. Yeah. Because she has memories of Sam, which I don't. Obviously Ashley's gonna say if you read Assassin's Blade,
you would know who Sam is and everything like that. But since we're doing it in the romantic order, we're not gonna really talk about that. But it is a past lover. What we know from this book is it is a past lover who has passed away. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so, like you said, it's one of the reasons she's not ready for another relationship.
Yeah, where she's not like really like a fan of it and things like that. So
yeah. Well, are you ready to continue this journey, Kaylee?
Absolutely, yeah. I think
we have so many
also
thoughts.
Like as we go on, it'll be easier when we don't have the fear of spoilers to really expand on like how we feel about certain aspects of the book.
Yeah. So you have to stay tuned because there are going to be a lot more. This is the opening book. There's not going to be much. This is setting the ground for everything that's about to happen. And if you've read the books, you know how much bigger they do become. And so it's going to be interesting. So. I have so many thoughts. And there are a couple scenes that I'm like, wow, like I think this was phenomenal. Like this was very well done. And there are like
there's
scenes
one
where I'm
scene.
Like, I know exactly what scene you're talking about too.
That's it. For me, that's it. I don't care.
And there are some fun relationships, but there's some that I'm like, I can't wait to talk about. I have so many thoughts. I think it's the one specific book that we're like, this book, I'm ready.
Yeah.
Down below, what book do you think it is?
Yeah, down below, what book do you think that it is?
What did you think of the first book? If we're excluding the rest of the series, what did you think of Throne of Glass as a book?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then also, just in terms of, what was your favorite book? What did you think about this book? And what book do you think that we have the most opinions about?
We have all the opinions.
Yeah, all of the opinions. But thank you guys so much for joining us on our day of the start of Throne of Glass. Make sure to like, follow, subscribe, hit all of the buttons. We do have a Buy Me a Coffee link if you feel so inclined, as well as a Buzzsprout link as well. If you'd like to, donate to our podcast over there, you definitely can. But if not, thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us. And the last thing that we have to say to you is,
what did the void say to you?